Hi everybody, it's Lori here to open up the cozy-ish vlog for the week. So this week I'm going to be reading 4 cozy-ish books for the vlog. I have one ARC. I will go ahead and put it on the screen here. I've received a copy of it through NetGalley, and so I will be reading it online and will report back as I finish the book. I also have a Salted Caramel here from Amanda Flower. This is the first in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series. I don't think I've tried anything by Amanda Flower, but I do know this is a long-running series. I'm excited to give it a try. We have our main character here who is visiting her grandparents in a small Indiana town. And of course, murder and mayhem happens. She will jump in, I'm sure, and investigate. So I will report on this one, but I'm excited to give this series a try. And along with that ARC, I have 2 other newer mysteries here as well, cozy-ish mysteries. This first one is 2 parts sugar, 1 part murder by Valerie Burns. It says it's the first in a new series. I have been seeing people talk about this one, and I'm super excited to give this one a try. I am definitely a sucker for books, cozy books, especially that have recipes, and it says there are recipes included, and a very cool dog, a large mastiff, so I'm very excited to get to cracking on this one. And then the final book for this vlog is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. I have been hearing a lot of people talk about this. It was at my local library at the front, and I thought, why don't I just get it? I can see it, it's available. I'm gonna grab it. Blurbed by Janet Ivanovich, which is interesting. It says, this delicious combination of Clue and the Great British Bake Off kept me turning the pages all night. So I think this is just kind of written like a regular mystery. I would say it's reminding me of the type of mystery like the Thursday Murder Club. It kind of teeters on the line of cozy and regular mystery, so we'll see as we read through it. But this is basically a bake-off scenario where the contestants obviously are competing against one another and somebody is murdered, and then we have to decide what the heck happened. So I'm excited. The premise sounds really good. I don't know that there's any like main amateur sleuth here. We'll see. I don't even think that this is supposed to be a series. I think it's just a standalone. So we will see as I read through and I give you my thoughts. So the first book that I'm going to tackle as part of this vlog is The Golden Spoon. I'm super excited to read this one. This also happens to be the one that's due back at my library first, so I just thought, why not? I mean, all the stars are aligning to make this the first book that I tackle for this vlog. So I will be checking back in with you as I read through the book. Doing a check-in as I work my way through The Golden Spoon. I have gotten to be about at page 118. So far, all of our contestants have converged on Grafton Manor, which is the home of Betsy Martin. She is the host of Bake Week, which is a baking competition that takes place at her home and runs for a week, I think once a year, I want to say. And the prize, I'm sure there's some kind of monetary compensation, is also the Golden Spoon Award, which is where we get our name for the book. We have all of our contestants who have a range of skills and abilities. The book is told from multiple points of view. We see our contestants here and what they see as part of the baking competition, what they bring to it, the history that they bring, baggage, so to speak. And so we get the different points of view, and it definitely jumps. That's how the chapters are all laid out, where it jumps from multiple points of view to see each of our main characters here, which there are quite a few of them, and see how they're feeling as the baking competition goes on. And so it's kind of interesting to see what everybody brings to the table, their skills, how they're feeling about being there and being a part of this competition. Everybody has a little bit of their own agenda, so to speak, for being there. And it's interesting to watch them on a daily basis as to what they decide to bake. That part is very, very interesting to me. I will tell you that where I'm at so far, there has been no death. And so while I'm enjoying the behind the scenes, I guess, look at a baking show competition type of a thing, I can see the quibble that people have had that it's kind of boring. I think if you are somebody that really, really loves suspenseful thrillers, this might not be the right book for you unless you go into it with the right mindset. That this is going to be something, from what I'm seeing so far, I mean, I'll give you my final thoughts at the end, but from what I'm seeing so far, this is a very light read, which is why I can see why people are calling it a cozy. But in any case, it's a cozier mystery for sure. And this would be something that I could see that you could take on vacation with you. You could read on a long plane ride. You could read at the beach, you know, a long weekend away, that type of thing. That's what I'm seeing so far. And I feel like it's a book that you can put down and pick up at will, that you're not going to want to be up all night long wondering what the heck is happening. So maybe if you have a really busy work schedule for the week and you don't want something that's going to keep you up at night, this might be a good book to pick. But in any event, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying something different because I'm learning about the behind the scenes, like I said, action of a baking series and what people are choosing. Always interested in learning more about that. I literally keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I keep thinking like, you know, like ominous music in the background, thinking what in the heck is going to happen here? I feel like there are quite a few people that I think could be the victim. So maybe that's part of it, like the build up and the suspense to figuring out who is going to be the victim and who's actually going to be the murderer. So we'll see. I'm intrigued and I will definitely check back in with you as I finish the book. I have finished The Golden Spoon, and I will say this did take a very, very long time to get to the actual murder. I'm trying to see here on what page. We basically get confirmation on page 217 out of 272 that a murder has taken place. And because it's so late in the book, I don't want to give away anything about it. Like even who the victim is here. I was really surprised at how long it took for us to get to that point. I just kept waiting for something to happen. Now, I was intrigued with the premise of the book in any case. I was interested in this bake-off type of competition and how the POVs were jumping between the different characters. I was waiting for the, like I said, shoe to drop to figure out who the murderer was going to be and who the victim was, because I just kept waiting. I'm like, okay, I'm assuming that somebody's going to die. Like, what's going on? Just kept waiting for some of the action to take place. And I kept thinking, okay, when is it going to happen? So I can see that if you're looking for something that's super fast paced, where you know what's going to happen from the, you know, very quickly, somebody gets murdered and you have to figure it out throughout the book. That's not really what happens here. It's a lot of character development, story development, talking about what they're baking, some of the backstories of all of the people, what led them there, all of that. Overall, I would say I enjoyed it. I was surprised that it took so long to get to the actual murder. Now, I will say I'm giving props to this author. It does say that she's a first-time author. Giving her props for not throwing everything in the kitchen sink into this one, which happens, I have found recently, especially with first-time authors. They seem to have great ideas. They have a lot of wonderful ideas and they throw them all into the first book. And it becomes this 450-page door stopper that you're just like, okay, you didn't need that much information. You didn't need to throw us off that much. I thought this was clever in that we didn't have too much trying to throw us off. You didn't have an extra 250 pages that didn't need to be there. So 2 thumbs up for that. I'm holding on to the book, but 2 thumbs up for that. I really enjoyed that. So I would say this is a solid 3.5 stars. That's what I'm going to say. I think if you like something that has a slower build up, you're not looking for a lot of blood, guts, and gore, and you just want a light-hearted type of easy read, I think that this is going to be a really good book for you. I enjoyed it, and I will definitely pick up another book from this author. The next book for the week is going to be Assaulted Caramel by Amanda Flower. This is the first book in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series, I believe. We have Bailey King from New York City to visit her grandparents. Her grandfather is ill. She gets pulled away from New York City to Indiana from her high-powered chocolatier job to check up on her grandfather because he is ill. It's not looking good. Her grandmother calls her and says, you know, hey, I wanted to let you know. She drops everything, races there. And then, of course, a murder occurs at the grandparents' candy shop. I'm going to guess here that she is going to snoop around, figure out what's going on, try to save the candy shop or her grandparents. Somebody's going to be implicated. That's usually what happens in the first of a cozy mystery series. So we'll see what happens. But it's interesting because she hasn't moved across country from, you know, trying to heal from a broken heart, which we normally see. She's not taking over their business. And so, interesting premise for the first time mystery in this series. I'm looking forward to getting cracking on this and seeing what I think about this new to me series. It's a long running series, but new to me. So I have finished Salted Caramel here. This cozy mystery has, you know, a little over 320 pages. It was a light, easy read. And I enjoyed it. I kept saying Indiana, it's Ohio. Harvest, Ohio. And so I was goofing that up, so I apologize. It is in Ohio, in the Amish community, where our main character, Bailey, heads to kind of check up on her grandfather. She is only supposed to be there for a couple of days. She needs to head back to New York City to her high-powered chocolatier job. She is looking forward to being named the head, I don't know, is it chef? I mean, chocolatier, whatever, on Monday, I believe it is. And so she's waiting for that announcement to happen. And in the meantime, she gets this frantic call from her grandmother that her grandfather is in a bad way health-wise. And so she races there for a few days to check on him, see him for herself. And when she gets there, she notices her grandfather arguing with a local developer, and then the developer is found dead in their candy store later on that day. So of course, Bailey immediately jumps into action. She's thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to lose it all. Grandfather is going to go to jail. Of course, he didn't commit this crime, and they're going to lose the business. What's going to happen to her grandmother? All of these things are running through her head. So she decides to poke around, figure out what's happening. Why did this person become a victim? Apparently, he has been buying up all of the local real estate from the Amish members of the community. He wants to turn it into like a Disneyland, an Amish Disneyland of sorts in Ohio. And her grandfather is the one holdout of this. I don't know if it's even a plaza or this particular area that he wants for the development. And he has been finding ways to trick the Amish into allowing him to buy the businesses, which they don't want to sell. Grandfather is the final holdout. And so when he is found murdered, obviously it looks really bad for their family. So like I said, Bailey jumps in, tries to figure out what's happening. Who would want him dead? Apparently there are a long list of people that want him gone, our victim gone. And so there's no shortage of suspects. It's just who has the means, motive, and opportunity. Bailey is convinced her grandfather is in no health condition to be able to have pulled off this murder. So she starts looking around. The police are not helpful, but really pokes around on her own to figure out what has occurred. In the meantime, she finds herself catering a wedding. It's all kinds of things going on. She's busy. I would say that I found this to be a very typical first entry in a cozy mystery series. And I'm intrigued enough that I want to pick up the second book in the series. I know it's a long-running series. Unfortunately, what's holding me back is the fact that my library doesn't have any of them in stock, which is kind of upsetting. I'm working with another library system. I think I'm going to be able to sign up with them as well, and we'll see if they have it. But that is kind of, you know, hindering my thought process about jumping into the series. So overall, I would give this a 3. It's a solid 3 for a cozy mystery. And I'm intrigued enough that if I can get this at my local library, I will go ahead and pick up the next book in this series. So I have finished The Perfect Staging for Murder by Kathleen Bridge. It was an ARC that was sent to me for a fair and honest review from NetGalley, so I appreciate that. It was the first ARC that I have received, so I was very excited. This is part of the Hamptons Home and Garden series. This is the latest book in an ongoing series that I actually haven't read from before. I decided to give it a try and just kind of jump in and figured I could go back if I really, really enjoyed this book, I could go back to the beginning and see how the series started, how everything kind of unfolded. A lot of times with Cozies, you can just kind of jump in and they provide enough information that you don't have to always start at the beginning. So I was hoping, you know, fingers crossed that that would be the case. With this one, I didn't feel lost at all. So if you want to just jump in with this particular book and start the series that way, I think you'll be fine. This is a cozy mystery set in the Hamptons. We have our main character, Meg. Her boyfriend's name is Patrick, and they are working together on the set of, I think it's Mr. and Mrs. Winslow, which is a period piece TV show that they are working on. She is doing, I believe, set designs for it. He was the screenwriter, and so they are working on the set here. They have a director that has been very problematic and made a lot of enemies. There are a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. Fiance, children, other members of the cast, they all want him gone. He's definitely somebody that they want gone. And so when he ends up murdered and Patrick disappears, Meg's in a panic, doesn't know what to do, can't get in touch with Patrick. He is, of course, the main suspect because he seemingly fled. And so she is trying to frantically figure out who killed this director and clear her boyfriend's name in the process. I will say I enjoyed the mystery itself. I was surprised, which is always good. I was surprised. It kept me guessing as to what would happen. I honestly thought it would take a different turn than it did, so that was good. It kept me guessing, kept me on my toes, wasn't really sure what to expect. I really enjoyed the premise of this and wanted to know more information about how she procures these items for set decoration and how she does some staging for home sales. There was a little hints of that in there. So perhaps that's outlined a little bit more in previous installments in this series. But yeah, the premise was very, very interesting to me. I will say I had some concerns about the relationship between Meg and Patrick. As I've mentioned on this channel before, I really don't like the miscommunication trope that's used in a lot of books, and that was definitely in use here, and I really didn't care for the relationship between the two of them. But that's a personal thing for me. Not everybody feels the same way about miscommunication in books. So if that doesn't bother you, you shouldn't have an issue with this book. I'm going to give it a rating of a 3. I think it was a solid start for me for this series. Will I be continuing it? I probably will go back and try the first book in the series at some point. I'll put it on my TBR, but I was so glad to be able to try this author for the first time I've read this author, and to give this series a try. So I would definitely say good 3 star. The final book that I have read for this cozy mystery vlog is 2 parts Sugar, 1 part Murder by Valerie Burns. We have our main character, Maddie, here. She is moving from Chicago to New Bison, Michigan, after receiving news that she has inherited some property and a business from a great aunt of hers who she wasn't really super close to, and she's kind of like, what is going on? She goes there first to find out the terms of the will, and then discovers that she needs to live there, operate the business for a year before she can sell it. So at first, she had all of these stars in her eyes, thinking about the number of Louis Vuittons that she could buy. She's definitely a girl who likes expensive items. And so she ends up in this very small town in Michigan with people that really don't seem to care about all of that, and thinks that she is overdressed for the weather and for the business because she has inherited a very successful bakery there. And as somebody that doesn't cook or bake at all, she needs to figure it out very, very quickly. She does have some employees there that kind of guide her through and help her with the business, but she has some great ideas for herself. She is a social media maven. She is definitely in touch with social media, so she uses that to her advantage in this town. I really enjoyed this. This was a fun, cozy mystery. It was the first in a new series. I love Baby here. The Mastiff that she also inherits as a part of her great aunt's estate. So this was very fun. I thought it was a little bit of a found family as well. She kind of comes into her own and figures out that she doesn't need money to do everything and that there are more important things in life. She starts to figure out the things that are very important to her. And I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to the second book in the series. I think it's coming out fairly soon. So I'm glad about that. I highly recommend this book. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4-star. I enjoyed it. There were a couple of small inconsistencies here that made me knock it down a little bit, but because this was not a first-time author, but I would say very, very strong first edition to a new Cozy Mystery series, and I'm really looking forward to reading the second one. So that'll do it for our Cozy Mystery vlog for the week. I had a wonderful time, read 4 books. It's always fun to go back to my first love of Cozy Mysteries. Let me know down below if there are any series that you would recommend that I pick up in my next Cozy Mystery vlog. But until next time, bye everybody!